You're in the rant wormhole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons ask me to rant about. You can get one of these rants by becoming one of those people. Today's rant is at the request of Ethan Singer telling me to rant about Jeff Thew in Mother's Basement. Both of them, they're the same guy. Jeff Thew, Mother's Basement. I make fun of him a lot because it's easy to do. Jeff is the shill supreme, as he calls himself. Um, you know, I guess I'm trying to think of like where I would begin with ranting about Jeff, because if I want to make it like a sincere rant about just things like just problems I have with Jeff, I feel like that would be unfair in comparison to all the other rants I've done, where I'm usually more like holistic on the subject. Like Jeff's early videos, I enjoyed when he used to do What's in an OP, because he just paid a lot more attention to OPs than I did. I liked the formula. He covered interesting shows, and he clearly had some broad tastes. But, like, Jeff very much fancies himself as, like, a media journalist. Like, he got his start writing for some gaming website. He got to, like, interview the guy who leads Falcom and shit. So, like, he thinks of himself as, like, coming from a gaming journalist background. And so he tried to bring that element of like covering everything, covering what's hot and going on right now to his YouTube channel. But like his stuff, it's like he has. I'll give him this. He has like sincere excitement about the shit he talks about. It's just that he has such basic tastes, and I feel like he puts so little thought into the shit he talks about. Like I feel as though Jeff sees something that's popular and he gets excited about it, and then whatever he feels in that moment of excitement and hype, he like immediately writes down like why it's making him feel that way, and then justifies that. And like the way I approach things is more like I'm just constantly making judgments. Like everything I see, I'm judging it, all the way down. Like if I start a show, I'm thinking about the visuals, I'm thinking about the audio, I'm thinking about the construction of the scene, I'm thinking about the visuals. Like I'm paying attention to every single element and thinking about if what I'm seeing is good or bad, by the metric of my own enjoyment. And I'm sure it's not unfair to say that Jeff does some of that too, but like when he watches a show, I feel as though he goes into it with a lot of like context and preparedness, and then like looks at what other people are saying and meters out like how hype is he gonna be about this, and like how excited does he think he should be, and like if the show is popular, like what's gonna be my angle? Like, am I the guy who likes this show? Am I the guy who hates this show? Am I playing defense for it? Am I like, what position am I in regards to this show or this piece of media, so that I can talk about it? And what I'm trying to say is that basically I get these very formulated stances. It's like a show comes out and Jeff's approach is like, this one's popular, so let me watch it and form my stance. And if he likes the show, then he's going to form a stance about why it's good. He's going to form an argument on the basis of like, oh, My Hero Academia, why it works. Like, so with this approach, I feel as though the content you get, it doesn't feel as much as though it was sprung out of somebody like watching something and making observations about it and then translating those observations into a script. It feels more like somebody came to a conclusion about what they were watching and then tried to reverse engineer why they felt that way. And that's not even a bad way of writing or anything like that. I've written plenty of videos that I would describe the same way. But the way I might write a script is like bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Like I know, like I wrote down everything that left an impression on me about the show, and I'm going to talk about every element of it and like how I felt about those elements, and like just get down like every single thing that was worth remembering in the show. And I feel like Jeff will come in and he'll say like, okay, this show is good, let me pick out all the stuff that made this show good, and and write a video explaining how this stuff is evidence that this thing was good. And just that approach, like it leaves out, it just leaves much to be desired. It leaves you feeling like you have been given just like whatever of the show would reinforce the stance. It's like stance crafting, you know? Like, I'm gonna have stances on as many things as possible, so, like, let me craft my stance, make my position known, and, like, stake my flag in the ground. This is where I stand on the issue of, was anime good in 2018, you know? And he puts out a video that's like, 2018, the best year in anime history. Here's, like, that's how I feel. Here's my logic. My evidence is all these shows that I liked, you know, and, like, what it meant, what was good for me this year. And, like, I take the approach of, like, if I'm going to talk about what's going on in 2018, I'm going to watch every single show, you know, finish or fail them all, and then I'm going to think about how that compares to previous years. Like, when Jeff talks about 2018 being an amazing year, he doesn't go back and compare it, like, why is it better than 2016? Why is it better than 2014? You know, I just went back and rewatched my own top 20 of 2016 video, and it reinforced how much I disliked 2018. Because I looked at that video and I was like, man, I remember a lot of these shows being really good. And then I look at my 2018 list and I'm like, man, I don't remember most of these shows being very good. You know, like, I just feel as though when you are constantly chasing SEO as, like, your primary means of deciding what you're going to create, you're never going to create something that was born out of your sheer inspiration to notice a trend, you know? And not to say that Jeff has never made videos like this, but, like, when I make a video, like, say, some of my favorites might be, like, the last high school anime. And that's about me, like, observing this overarching trend of something going on in anime and making a video about that I feel like only I could have made, you know, because only I have made this observation and taken the time to watch all these shows and think about them and how they relate to each other. And I'm a big fan of the meta of everything, you know. I think that when you're just keeping up with whatever rises to the top as the hype thing that season, you're not really getting the full picture of what's going on. And you find yourself swept up in, you know, caring about the things that are being talked about and, like, how that improves on your experience of watching it, which can be significant for a lot of people, you know, like participating in discussion, making videos, talking to people on Reddit or 4chan about a show. Like, that impacts how much they like it because they have, like, all these great memories of, you know, doing all that. But, like, you know, in the long term, like, when people come back to your videos when the hype has died down, it's going to be like, does your point still stand up under scrutiny? Like, had you thought this through as well as you could have? Like, was this the best time to publish a video about this? Are you ever going to come back to it? And, like, you know, after having thought it through more and, like, studied it more, are you going to come back and make another video about the deeper secrets of it? You know, or is it always going to be, you know, just make a video about the thing while it's relevant and move on to the next thing that's relevant and just always talk about relevant stuff, you know, and just always be on the hype wave and always be excited. I realize I'm not even really just talking about Jeff here. I'm talking about, like, this is a general problem I have with YouTube and just the way that SEO operates, is that it always values the current, the new, the up-to-date, you know, and, like, I always respect people who take the time to remind us of how good things have been before, to say, like, the thing that everyone's hype about is not interesting, here's something that you could be watching, you know. And again, it's not to say that Jeff never does that, because he will do recommendation videos and stuff, and he knows some old shit, so I can, you know, credit him with that. You know, I haven't watched any of his videos in a really long time, aside from, like, watching some of the why 2018 was the best year video, because I just was, like, so baffled that he would say that. And so, like, you know, I find most of them boring. I think they're too long. I think they have too much fucking ad space in them. I think his speech cadence is annoying, and I feel like because of the fact that he had some like bad guy traits early on. He tried to lean in on being a bad guy character, and I don't think he's good at that at all. I think that like him trying to ham up the fact that he's a shill made it worse. Like made people think like I think he would have been better served to just like be more robotic and less of a personality, because I don't think people gel with his personality so easily, and not to say that people do with mine, but like that's also the thing that attracts people to my content is my personality. Like, you know, people might get rejected by it, but it's also the only reason anyone's watching at all. Whereas in his case, I feel like he could have even more viewers if he had even less of himself present in the content, which I think he's been scaling back. Like he's finally stopped using the stupid avatar in the thumbnails. So, but yeah, I can't rant too much about Jeff because I haven't been watching his stuff or keeping up with him or really paying much attention to anime, fucking YouTube, AnyTube at all, or any Twitter, because like I just don't care, because not enough of it is of interest to me. Not enough people are talking about shows I want to hear about in ways I want to hear about them. So you know, it's been a boring time in the anime YouTube sphere. But anyway, that's it for this rant.